Time now for another exciting episode of WBD Bidding War. So here we are once again at Cosmic Book News with the headline: State Attorneys General urge DOJ to block Netflix Warner Brothers merger. Whoa. So following Paramount's revised proposal, 11 Republican state attorneys general are urging the Department of Justice to subject the proposed Netflix and Warner Brothers merger to a thorough and exacting review. Warning: it could create a monopoly in streaming and damage the theatrical movie business. In a formal letter addressed to Attorney General Pamela Bondi, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, and Acting Assistant Attorney General Antitrust Omid Asefi, the coalition argued that the merger would likely result in undue market concentration, higher subscription prices, well, yeah, it's a given, less innovation, oh yeah, and reduced competition. Yeah. The attorneys general point to a private lawsuit already filed in federal court in California, which alleges Netflix's acquisition of Warner Brothers would substantially lessen competition in the subscription video and demand market. Video on demand market. God, I'm an idiot sometimes. Okay, most of the time. But, the lawsuit claims the merger would eliminate HBO Max as a direct competitor and lead to higher subscription prices, lower quality content, and fewer consumer choices. Well, that's what you got to do. You lessen the amount of choices they have. That way, they just got to put up with that lower quality. Yeah. The states echo those concerns, arguing that vertical control of Warner Brothers' content library could allow Netflix to foreclose competitors and dominate the market. Yeah, it could be in their better interest not even make much ado with the catalog. We're not even going to bother to exploit it or anything. We'll just put it in a vault. Because why go through the trouble? And a couple of things, maybe Batman. But other than that, nah. And then what are you going to do? Huh? We're the only game in town. Yep. Beyond streaming, the letter raises alarms about the future of theatrical exhibition. Yeah, there's a lot of factors, not just streaming, destroying that. Streaming's a big one, but man. But this sort of thing doesn't help. So, yeah, I can understand their concern. The Attorney General's cite concerns that Netflix could alter Warner Brothers' traditional theatrical release model. The letter references criticisms from filmmaker James Cameron and industry groups who argue that theatrical exhibition remains a critical part of the creative process. Well, yeah, they were always made with the intention of it being seen on a giant screen like that. Now, we've long since gotten used to seeing movies on a smaller screen, with going to television and the like. And a lot of films, you missed your chance in the theater and stuff like that, and you see it later, that sort of thing. Then when streaming came along, oh boy, did it eat away at just the, I don't know, habit's the only word I keep coming up with, but just the idea and the concept of I'm going to go see a movie. What do you mean? You can just see it right now at home. Yeah, that's become the norm. So that's a bigger challenge for it overall. Is just the public's attitude towards it. It also cites remarks attributed to Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos describing movie theaters as outdated. Yeah. Oh no, we're gonna release movies in the theater. Yeah, we'll leave them there for, I don't know, 45 days. What? Oh, we're going to leave them in there 45 days. Again, yeah, 45 days. You know, and then after the merger's complete and everything, then they'll, all right, we're not doing that anymore. Basically they would probably honor the movies that are in the works right now. Yeah. And yeah, those will go into theaters just as per usual. And then after that, no more. It's just going to be on Netflix. According to the letter, Warner Brothers' theatrical exclusivity windows could harm theater owners and employees at a time when the industry is still recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic and the Hollywood labor strikes. Yeah, those are other factors, but it's more than just that. The Attorney General referenced statements from Cinema United, a trade group representing major chains such as AMC and Regal, which described the potential merger as culturally catastrophic. Well, there's going to be a merger. Maybe it'll be with Paramount instead, which is your better bet because they've already committed to releasing movies and they are a movie studio. And even before this whole merger thing started, they were saying they were committed to 30 movies a year in the theaters. So they can still meet that with, Warner Brothers films. So anyway, the letter argues that allowing Netflix to acquire a studio built around theatrical exclusivity could disrupt the broader film ecosystem, just as major theatrical years are projected to generate significant revenue for the sector. He seems rather calm about the whole thing. He's like, And Sarandos here is like, oh. The coalition urges the DOJ to conduct a rigorous review under the Clayton Act, which governs mergers that may substantially lessen competition or create monopolies. Signatories include attorneys general from Nebraska, Montana, Alabama, Alaska, Iowa, North Dakota, Kansas, South Carolina, Tennessee, West Virginia, and Utah. The letter concludes by offering assistance to the Department of Justice as it evaluates the proposed deal, underscoring that the merger's impact could reach far beyond streaming and into the broader American film industry. Oh boy. So there's the letter. See? There really is one. So there you go. There's all their John Hancocks. Yeah. Well, stands to reason you can understand the conflicts and all that good stuff and what the concerns are, and they are legitimate. Will this do anything about it? Well, one can hope, But yeah, ultimately, again, it's just the truth of it. This is bad. This is the end of Warner Brothers. It's already over. It's just going to be, if anything, a tab on a streaming service, or it'll just be the name of the production company that made the particular movie or show you're watching. And that's it. It's not really a thing anymore. It's really kind of sad, but what are you going to do? So the Paramount's the better bet for this than Netflix. With Netflix guaranteed, that's it for theatrical. And in theatrical's probably on the way out. I hate saying it. I don't want to see it, but you got to live in the real world because, well, that's where everyone lives. Even when they pretend they're not, you're still there. That's how that works. Oh, well. Meanwhile, Netflix now mounts a last-ditch effort to save WBD deal as Paramount gains upper hand. See, this is why Ellison's so happy. He's like, eat it. So anyway, Netflix is mounting a last-ditch effort in Washington as momentum appears to be shifting toward David Ellison and Paramount Skydance in the $108 billion battle for Warner Brothers Discovery. According to Deadline, events are leaning toward Paramount prevailing in its hostile takeover bid. Again, the attorney generals have filed with the DOJ saying, hey, come on, block this thing. At the same time, Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos is personally heading to D.C. in what is said to be a last-ditch effort to save his company's merger with WBD. as antitrust concerns intensify. And, he's going to go in there. Hey, I promise we won't be a monopoly. Oh, okay. As first reported by the New York Post, Sarandos and Netflix's expanding team of lobbyists have launched what's described as a government charm offensive this week. The effort reportedly includes meetings with lawmakers and possibly even President Donald Trump. Sarandos is scheduled to appear at the White House on Thursday. It remains unclear whether he will meet directly with Trump. The two previously met in November, so now he's got to do it again. Come on, guys. We're cool, right? We're cool. Hey, back off this antitrust stuff. Come on. Yeah, you better explain this. You better. At issue is Netflix's plan to layer Warner Brothers Discovery's streaming service over its own platform, effectively combining the number 1 and number 3 streamers under one roof, along with WBD's studio operations. Well, even if they kept them separate, just aesthetically, it wouldn't make any difference. It's theirs. It's like a lot of people, Netflix is like a distributor for, these small studios and whatnot who they do all the production work, of course, on their films or shows, and then pitch it to Netflix. And they said, you know what? Yeah, we're going to put it on the platform. And then there you go. Essentially, that's what Warner Brothers would become. It's just a production studio, and Netflix is the distributor. It used to be television, of course, and movie theaters, but, well, regulators are examining whether the merger would substantially lessen competition in the subscription video on demand market. It would. You're losing a company. It ceases to exist. That's done. Either way. It's just Paramount doesn't have a streaming service that's on par with Netflix. Netflix is king. So that's why it doesn't really come up in their scenario. But with Netflix, it's immediate. Critics argue the deal could reduce consumer choice and increase pricing power. That's the thing. Hey, we got more stuff for 2 companies in one, so you got to pay more. Huh? Yeah. The deal also faces political resistance. Some GOP lawmakers have expressed concern that Netflix programming skews left. It does. I mean, there's stuff on there that doesn't. They can always say, but just don't look at it. And are hesitant to grant the company additional market power. Complicating matters is Netflix board member Susan Rice, the former Obama national security advisor. Rice recently criticized Trump on a podcast and warned that corporations that take a knee to the administration could be held accountable if Democrats return to power. So regardless of what the law is and anything, she says, yeah, we don't care. We're going to screw you. Yeah. And they will. I mean, that's what they did before. So that's a line from her you can believe and take to the bank. Trump responded publicly, calling on Sarandos to either remove Rice from the board or pay the consequences. Oh, boy. Well, no wonder he looks all he looks. Hey, wait! Habit. Yeah. So anyway, while Netflix works to contain regulatory and political fallout, Paramount Skydance's $31 per share all cash offer is gaining traction. Yeah, I would guess so. It's just better. That's the thing. When it boils down to it, it's just a better offer. Plus, they've agreed to pay the termination fee if with Warner Brothers having to back out of the Netflix deal. So don't worry, we'll cover that. Then on top of that, they offer up $7 billion to help out with the regulatory fees they got to pay. I mean, I don't know how you argue that the Netflix deal is the one you should go with at this point. And so how do you keep the shareholders at bay? For whatever reason, gee, I wonder what it could possibly be. I smell shenanigans. The board wants Netflix. But how do you argue that it's better for the shareholders? You can't. It's not there. So the Warner Brothers Discovery Board has already determined that the revised proposal could reasonably lead to a company superior proposal under its agreement with Netflix. With regulators scrutinizing the Netflix deal and political tensions rising, the coming days could determine whether Sarandos can stabilize the merger or whether David Ellison's bid ultimately prevails. So I got to wonder, what if it doesn't? And Sarandos manages to, save this at the last minute. You got to wonder, yeah, how'd he do that? And I suspect lawsuits will multiply because this picture just doesn't work. It doesn't look right. Yeah. And Scarlet Witch, because she's got reality powers. I'm right again. So anyway, and yeah, I yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's AI, right? Yeah, things look it looks bad for Netflix. Plus, it's a bad deal. And yeah, I don't know. And of course, again, how does this end? Your guess is as good as mine, which always keeps it going. It is entertaining, but it's got to end at some point, So I really, again, I'm a layman on these things, no expert on corporate mergers and all that. But just the simple face of it, I really don't see how you can argue Netflix wins this. And how else are you going to explain it other than they really got a sweet deal for the board of WBD? And that just leaves the shareholders hanging. So, oh, don't worry, we'll make it up on the sale of the half of the company of the legacy media they're going to get rid of. Well, that's wishful thinking, isn't it? Whereas here's Paramount saying, we'll pay you now. There's no argument against that. There just isn't. Anyway, once again, to be continued. I mean, yeah, it will end, but that's the only prediction I can actually solidly make. Oh, yeah. It's like, you know what happens after Monday? Tuesday. Oh, yeah.